Charleston, South Carolina. Early 1800s. By day, it was one of America's richest cities, cobblestone streets, grand homes, church bells ringing over the harbor. But beneath that beauty lived a fear so deep, it haunted white families for generations. Because Charleston was built on slavery, and the enslaved outnumbered the free. What terrified the city most wasn't rebellion itself. It was one man. A man who could read. A man who could speak. A man who had already lost everything. His name was Denmark Vesey, and his revenge nearly burned Charleston to the ground. Act 1. A man who wasn't supposed to think. Denmark Vesey was born into slavery in the mid-1700s, likely on the Caribbean island of St. Thomas. He was sold as a child, shipped across the Atlantic like cargo. By the time he arrived in Charleston, he belonged to a white slave trader named Joseph Vesey. Unlike most enslaved people, Denmark was trained as a house servant. That meant he learned English. He heard conversations. He watched how power worked. Most dangerous of all, he learned to read. In a system built on ignorance, literacy was rebellion. But Denmark didn't just read any books. He read the Bible. And when he read it, he saw something his masters never expected. Stories of liberation, of pharaohs overthrown, of chains broken by divine justice. To Denmark Vesey, slavery wasn't just cruel, it was sinful. Act 2. Freedom that wasn't freedom. In 1799, something extraordinary happened. Denmark Vesey won a lottery. With the prize money, he bought his own freedom. But freedom came with a bitter truth. Denmark was free. His wife was not. His children were not. His friends were not. Every day, he walked Charleston's streets as a free black man, while watching people he loved beaten, sold, and chained. Freedom surrounded by slavery is not freedom at all. Charleston tried to silence men like Denmark, but Denmark found a voice. He became a lay preacher, holding secret meetings with enslaved people. He spoke softly, but his words carried fire. He told them, "God did not make you to live in chains." And they listened. Act 3. The Seed of Revenge. Charleston's white population lived in constant fear of uprising. They remembered Haiti. In 1791, enslaved Africans rose up, slaughtered their masters, and created the first black republic in the Americas. Charleston knew the truth. If slaves ever united, the city would fall in a night. Denmark Vesey knew it too. But this wasn't madness. This wasn't chaos. This was planning. Denmark and a small inner circle began organizing quietly. Dock workers, carpenters, house servants, men who moved through the city unnoticed. Their plan was bold, almost unthinkable. They would rise on Bastille Day, July 14th, a symbol of revolution. They would seize weapons, kill slaveholders, burn the city, free thousands. Then they would escape by ship, or die free. For Denmark Vesey, death was not the worst fate. Slavery was. Act 4. The night Charleston almost died. Word spread in whispers. Meetings held in darkness. Knives hidden in toolboxes. Pikes fashioned from farm tools. Some said thousands were ready. Charleston slept, unaware that beneath its calm streets, rage was boiling. But fear is a powerful weapon, and betrayal is stronger. 2 enslaved men, terrified, reported the plot. Charleston exploded into panic. Militia flooded the streets. Houses were searched. Black churches were shut down. Denmark Vesey was arrested. So were dozens of others. There was no jury, no defense, no mercy. The trials were secret. Testimony was beaten out of witnesses. Guilt was assumed. Act 5. Revenge denied. Fear unleashed. In July 1822, Denmark Vesey was sentenced to death. He never confessed. He never begged. On the gallows, he did not cry. Charleston executed 35 men. Many more were deported. The city tried to erase the story, but instead, they revealed their terror. They destroyed black churches, passed brutal new slave laws, banned black literacy, because even after Vesey was dead, His ideas lived. Charleston learned something it could never forget. You can chain bodies, but not minds. Act 6. The Revenge That Never Ended. Denmark Vesey never saw Charleston burn, but his revenge wasn't fire. It was fear. For decades, slaveholders whispered his name. Parents warned children. Militia drilled endlessly, because they knew the truth. If one educated enslaved man could nearly destroy the city, what would happen when millions awakened? 40 years later, the Civil War came, and Charleston burned anyway. Closing, quiet, reflective tone. Denmark Vesey died labeled a criminal. History tried to bury him. But today, he stands as a symbol of resistance, of courage, of a man who refused to accept chains as destiny. Charleston was never the same, because once fear changes sides, oppression is already dying.